Hey guys, it's Thanksgiving today, and as you know, we love Thanksgiving and food.
Mark, it's not Thanksgiving.
It's Thanksgiving.
No, it's not.
Brandon, we fucking talked about this. We're doing a fucking Thanksgiving episode.
We may be doing a Thanksgiving episode, but it's not Thanksgiving.
What day of the week is it then, Brandon? You tell me.
It's not Thanksgiving.
It's Thanksgiving, Brandon.
All right, everybody. So as I said, it's August right now. It's not fucking Thanksgiving, but you know what we are going to do? We're going to talk about Thanksgiving and some good old family memories. Isn't that right, Mark?
You hit like a total bitch, Brandon.
What was that?
Good morning, boys and girls. Sometimes you need to wake up bright and early, have yourself a cup of coffee, talk about some nerdy shit, and then go on with your day. It's time for Sunrise with the Sleepy Boys, with your hosts, Brandon and Mark.
I mean, that's what you get for leaving me.
I'm sorry. I was going through a hard time.
I know.
I'm
We
sad.
could have gone through it together.
I know. I should have brought you guys into the loop a lot sooner than I did.
Nah, it's all right. Everybody deals with trauma and stress and stuff at different points.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the best either.
Yeah.
I typically don't even mean for it to come out. I just start talking about it and go, oh, yeah, so this is a thing. That happened to me a lot with my family this week or this past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Start talking about things, and then out of nowhere, I would just start opening up. I'm like, oh, we've never talked about this before. I'm not going to go super deep into, like, issues that I've got because my situation with my family is very different than yours at this point.
The fuck you talking about? Me and my parents are on great terms.
Yeah, are you? When was the last time you talked to your dad?
I wished him a happy Father's Day. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah? Is that all you told him?
What else would I tell him?
I don't know. You two get into it.
I found out that him and my mother are trying to buy some land to retire on. And my initial thought was, how? How are you going to get some land? You have $0. You have no nickels to rub together, my homeboy.
All right, let's get into this because I love that story.
All right, so Thanksgiving is a time for friends and family to come together. Look, motherfucker, we're talking about family issues today. So to kind of get away from the racial issues, we're going to talk about white people that are not so great.
Huh?
Brandon's family.
Hold on.
I'm just kidding. We got to figure out a way to fix
My
that.
white family is great.
Yeah, see, here's the thing is I have a black cousin, so
I have a black half-brother.
You have a half-brother?
Well, I mean, he was adopted.
By whom?
By us.
Wait, you have how the fuck am I have known you for like 10 years. How the fuck am I just now? 12 years. I've known you for 12 years. How am I just now finding out about this?
Yeah, his name's T. Anthony, and we adopted him. This was back when we lived in Virginia.
Where does he live?
I don't know where he's at nowadays.
Where was he when you lived in Friendswood?
The last I saw him, I feel really bad. Because I have tried finding him on social media and I have not had much luck.
Okay.
But I mean, he started his own catering business that he was doing.
So there wasn't a point where he was present when I knew you?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, like I said, this is when we lived in Virginia.
The fuck, man?
This was, a long time ago. I mean, yeah.
Same last name as you and everything?
No, he does not have the same last name as us.
Okay.
He ended up, as far as I know, was able to patch things up with his family and move back with them after a while. I mean, when we adopted him, I mean, he was a teenager.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so by the time he moved out and stuff, he was like an adult.
Got it.
So
all right.
I was just a little kid. I looked up to him a whole lot. He was part of a choir that came up from Miami to Virginia that was associated with our church.
Gotcha.
And I looked up to him and his friends a lot. They were really my earliest introduction into music. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I am glad to know that little tidbit of trivia that I did not know about you before, and that was not like a fake reaction. That was me being
No, that was
genuinely
legit.
angry.
I realize I have never told you that before.
Not a one, you bitch.
As I talked about in one of our episodes, I don't know where it falls. I assume it was in the past as far as where our episodes come out.
Probably.
I was in quarantine with my family in Nashville. And
Yes.
we decided to do Thanksgiving together in July. And so it was my sister's idea. She's like, I've seen a lot of people doing Thanksgiving as a trendy, as a like thing that they're doing on social media. And I am not one to say no to Thanksgiving at
Of
all.
course fucking not. You get Twinkies and Hot Pockets. Why would you say no to
Yeah,
that?
Twinkies and Hot Pockets with Cheese Whiz.
Oh, don't get me started on Cheese Whiz. Is the Cheese Whiz in the Twinkies or in the Hot Pocket?
It's on top.
Oh, fuck me.
But no, so we did a full Thanksgiving dinner. And it was delightful and a lot of fun. My little brother had a very hard time comprehending what we were doing.
I love how bad you just butchered the word comprehending.
Comprehending? I
That's
know.
not what you said, but
I
love it.
I said weird. I needed more liquid
Yeah,
out of my cup.
I can't comprehend how you can do it without the liquid.
I had cotton mouth, and I think my mouth did not want to did not want to cooperate.
I did not want to cropulate. I love you so much. You're my bestest friend.
I love you too, Betty. There are times where you say things too. I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah, but that's just because I'm dumb.
That's true.
Yeah, nothing I can do about that.
Dumb on the outside and a genius on the inside.
I just can't fucking form sentences cohesively.
It happens.
Anywho, you did Thanksgiving. Sorry, I didn't mean to mock you mercilessly. You did.
It's okay. It's par for the course with this friendship.
That's true. You did Thanksgiving with your family while you were there.
Yeah, it was really nice. But I mean, I've almost said but. I mean, I can't think of a single but about it. It was just really nice.
That's good, man.
Also, it was kind of nice because considering who knows where we're going to be in November, super hopeful that by the time we get to actual Thanksgiving, that things will be better.
Yeah, dude. I just want to be able to go out and do something for my birthday.
You mean your birthday in September?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I didn't get to go out and do anything for my birthday back in June.
That makes me sad that you didn't get to.
It's okay. We ended up doing ribs and wings on the grill.
Oh, that sounds really good. I haven't fucking...
It was nice.
You want to know what fucking barbecues are like up here?
Sure, please. I would love to know what a Salt Lake City barbecue's like.
They're sad.
What? Why?
Because they don't understand what barbecue sauce is, man.
Wait. Well, I mean, regionally speaking, barbecue doesn't have to have sauce on it.
Fucking take that back right now.
No, I'm not going to. As someone who grew up in Virginia and spent a lot of time in North Carolina, I will say North Carolina barbecue is very different than what we're accustomed to in Texas.
God, I love it when you talk dirty to me like that.
I love when you talk about smoking meats.
Oh, I love it when you...
Sauces.
Sausage.
I said sauces.
I said sauces. Anywho, so anyway, you did Thanksgiving. Talk about that.
Well, I mean, it was just nice. I mean, unfortunately, my sister Brittany and her boyfriend were not able to be with us. But I mean, it was Jasmine and I, my little brother, my mom and dad, and then my youngest sister Nancy. So, I mean, it was nice.
That's good.
You know, turkey was delicious. Mom did a really good job. Nancy took over the twice-baked potatoes, which is usually something my mom does as her specialty. But I will say, Nancy knocked it out of the park. They were the best twice-baked potatoes.
as long as I've known you, like I know you have two younger sisters, but I am not convinced that I've ever actually met your other younger sister.
Nancy?
Yeah.
You've met Nancy, and you've seen Nancy.
Wait. Oh shit. Yeah, I remember Nancy.
Good job.
Well, you got to understand, she's several years younger than me.
Yes, she is.
Like the chances, like we might have crossed paths at some point or other, but like I never, like I don't know her.
Yeah, by the time I was leaving the youth group, though, she was coming up into the youth group and was part of it.
I know. Yeah, like I said, so there was the time you left the youth group, I also stopped going to church. So it was like
That's also true. You had a much bigger head start on me than in that area.
I'll give you my head start.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
Oh, wow. All right. Jinx,
Yeah.
you owe me a Coke.
You say a cock?
I said, yeah.
Fuck, this is fucking awful so far. I'm sorry. I'm not doing so hot right now.
It's okay. But so anyways, I will say, all right, so even though it was a mock Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
the typical thing that happened, the overall theme of what my quarantine looked like was Brandon had a emotional mental breakdown.
Right. We've talked about that one.
Yes. And that spurred on a whole topic of my mental health the rest of the trip.
Oh.
Which I realize talking with you, Jasmine, Aaron, and a lot of our other close friends very much know how I am mentally speaking.
Yeah.
I have issues. I have depression. And when I was younger, not as an adult, I had to preface this with my mother, that as an adult, I have not been suicidal. When I was younger and in my more formative years and definitely more emotionally unstable, there were some close calls.
Right.
None that were ever brought to my family's attention because I hid it very well, which I admit is not healthy or smart at all. But it was something that I started talking to them about, mainly because, as you know, to deal and combat a lot of my fleeting suicidal little bouts that I have when my depression gets really bad, I like to joke about it because for me that takes takes kind of the power back into my hands.
Right.
And it's my coping mechanism. From my grandfather has a very wicked sense of humor. And I mean, he never joked about dark stuff like that, but I realized that humor is a very cathartic way of dealing with a lot of stress and uncertainty. And so that's how I cope with it. I made a joke at dinner one night after we had just been found out we had all been exposed to corona, and I was in a very dark place. So I decided I was going to make a joke about, man, if I it was just one of those things that I said under my breath, kind of towards Jasmine to kind of let her know where my head was at. I was like, man, if I ever needed a good reason to kill myself before things got really bad, now would be the time. And my sister Nancy goes, "You think about killing yourself?" I'm like, "Oh no."
You do that too?
No. I immediately realized, I'm like, oh, I've hid this from them too. I don't talk about this with them.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was like, well, so this is going to become an issue. And it did. It not a bad issue. Especially on my mom's side of the family, mental anguish and stuff, depression, and a bunch of other mental ailments I don't really want to get into too much because,
It's
maybe at some
sad.
point, yeah, well, it's sad, but I mean, there's been a lot of positive things that have come out of it, but it's not my story to tell.
Right.
It's just, it's something my mom's side of the family has dealt with for a while. And so my mom took the opportunity a lot to kind of question. And it also doesn't help. All right. So that night that I made the joke was also the same night that I had my mental breakdown in the kitchen while making
my
the
God.
flatbreads.
How close was this?
What do you mean? How,
Time frame. How long was it between those?
3-4 hours.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was, but in retrospect, if you had heard somebody say, man, they made a joke about killing themselves, and then a couple days later they had a mental breakdown, like that's immediate, like red flag. Like maybe we should say something. So my family jumped on it from the get-go. I will say I have never felt more safe and appreciated and looked after in my entire life. Not saying that I haven't felt safe and appreciated in my life, but it was one of those moments that there was such an intense direction from both my parents at night because my mom and I had been drinking. We all had been drinking. But my mom was still up. My dad had gone to bed. My dad goes to bed early. My mom, apparently I'm a night, I get my staying up late from my mom. Who knew? She and I were up talking, and she goes, oh, check on the flatbreads out of the oven. Mind you, Jasmine, my siblings, and everyone else is all in their rooms and stuff asleep. So it's just my mom and I who are up. And we were talking, and I go and check on the flatbreads, and I went to go grab the flatbread, and I wasn't careful about where my forearm was, and it touched the inside part of the oven.
Oh, I've done that so many times.
Yeah, and it wasn't that it hurt and that I burned myself bad, but immediately I was like, ouch, that hurt. Oh no. And immediately felt like this entire damn, it was literally the straw that broke the camel's back. All of a sudden, you know how like all of a sudden, like someone who has, a lot of times people will just snap and you're like, whoa, that seems like an extreme reaction to just what happened. What is going on with that person? What happened?
Well, that's what depression looks like.
Exactly. I know you know this.
I know this.
Sure. So I immediately just started doing the little trying to catch my breath and also stopping the tears.
Yep.
Like, don't cry. Don't
And
I was like,
fucking cry.
I was like, nope, this is all coming out right now. And it just erupted out of me, and I just collapsed on the floor, and my mom ran in, and every little thing, like, Jasmine was in a bad place too because she was dealing with a lot of anguish from our potential exposure and kind of the existential dread that follows that, knowing like we could end up being sick and we don't know what's going to happen. And so I was Jasmine's emotional sponge.
Right.
Well, a sponge needs to be wringed out, and this was my moment. As soon as Jasmine was asleep and I knew she wasn't a part and I wasn't there, I unleashed. And my mom started talking to me, and every single thing that I have had a problem with, every bit of hurt that I have felt over the past couple years, I did not bottle this stuff up because I have talked with you, I've talked with Jasmine, I've talked with a couple other friends of ours, but there is something so freeing about just being able to almost be like a little child and cry in your mother's arms that I didn't know I needed, but it just all of a sudden I went crying to mama. And granted, if my mom wasn't there, I would have been fine. I don't want to say like, oh man, I was in such a terrible, because my mom was worried. Like she even asked me like, what would you have done if I wasn't there? And I'm like, I would have cried, and then I would have had flatbread, and probably would have done one and the same at the same time. But there was this emotional, I have an emotional connection with my mom that I don't have with a lot of people. And I was a mama's boy. I've always been a mama's boy. And she quickly realized, like, this is, oh my goodness, we need to be, they went into full-on parent mode. And she went and woke up my dad, and my dad came in, and like we just ended up sitting on the kitchen floor, and I just poured everything out. And so then after that moment, the emotional breakdown, there were several other moments throughout the rest of that week and in the week following where we were still quarantining in Nashville, where my mom wanted to talk more about, like, really get into it. And but yeah, so I mean, it's just one of those things. And I always think of like emotional holidays for me have two things happen. Either emotional wounds are created because family drama exists, and when you get, especially when you get my family together, there's a potential for things to be said that end up being regretted. Everybody apologizes and stuff, but those emotional wounds are still kind of there, at least for a little while. Or the inverse happens, and there is like this, like the closest thing that I can call to, like, especially with the two of us growing up in church, you hear the term revival thrown around a lot. It's the closest that, like, a true, like, emotional revival where actual healing happens. And this just, like, really, I was like, man, it's crazy that we had this crazy stuff happen, and then we were having this Thanksgiving stuff, and, like, later in the week, having this Thanksgiving, and it just kind of all wraps into, like, I really needed this chapter in my life for emotional healing with both my parents. Because my mom really wanted to get into, like, hey, my mom was like, you are really dark. I'm like, yes, yes, I am. And she's like, but why? What happened to you? Where did I go wrong? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that this was a side effect of me having, like, I like getting a rise out of people, so I'll be dark and funny. Sometimes it comes from a real place, because it is kind of, what they say, like with jokes and stuff, it's always rooted in some sort of truth.
Right.
I do have a dark side to me, and it's kind of where my depression resides, and I
It's where your demons hide.
Yeah, and I utilize that for a lot of, like, my writing and stuff, and also in, like, my sense of humor and stuff. So it is there. It is part of me. I'm not ashamed of it being a part of me. But my mom looked at it like, oh my gosh, where did I go wrong? I'm like, oh no, that is not at all what I want you to think. I am so sorry. I did not know that, like, I didn't realize that my having that side of me would blow back in the way that it did. And so I've realized through this, talking with my mom, that there was unspoken emotional hurt on her part from the way that I am. Not that she's disappointed in me or anything, but because she was afraid that she did something wrong as a parent and that they did something wrong. I'm like, oh my gosh, no. And I also saw so much of myself in both my, mostly my mom. My dad is emotionally wired differently than I am. But my mom, I saw so much of myself in her. I'm like, oh my gosh, this explains so much of where I come mentally, where all my stuff comes from. And I found a lot of solace and peace in knowing that. And so she was like, she was really trying to get to the the root of the issue. She was like, do you resent us in any way? And I'm like, I really, so, and I've told you a lot of stories, and my friends know stories that I've told and stuff, about growing up like conservative and being a bit sheltered. I mean, I do not hold that against my parents at all. I love to joke about it because I also think it's important for people to see the other side of how people live. But I will say when I was younger, I had resentment to my parents. Every kid has resentment towards their parents when they're younger. But one of the things that I've grown up and really since being married, I have come to love and appreciate my parents in such a deep way that when I was younger, I did not think was possible. Not because, like, my dad and I butted heads. It's typical, like, a son and a father are going to butt heads when, and my dad has a certain age where there's a big disconnect for him. And with both, he's going through it with my little brother, Nick, right now. He is handling it. I think, at least from what I can see, he's handling it a lot. Like, he has learned so much. And I am so proud of both my parents and the growing that they have done over the years. My mom was just really worried that I held some sort of resentment towards them. I got the very cathartic thing of letting my mom know. I hope she believes me.
And you just looked her right in the eyes and said, "It's your fucking fault, Mom. You did this to me.
You did this." No, I got the opportunity and I'm sure this topic's going to get brought up. I know it is. It's going to be brought up between us more. Because I think I think there still needs to be more of these emotional talks. And I'm super happy that, because before they didn't happen, not because neither one of us wanted it to happen, we didn't know it needed to happen. And my mom opened up to me that she felt the most disconnect between the two of us, emotionally speaking, because my sisters had both done a better job of opening up in their adulthood. And I will say that I felt a bit disadvantaged in being able to speak about it, just because I moved away and I didn't live at home. And then by the time that I was getting to a point when I did want to talk about this stuff, my parents moved to Nashville. They didn't live just 2.5 hours away from me anymore. So I'm playing catch up. And but I mean, nothing helps make up for time like being locked into a house with each other for 2 weeks.
Ain't that the fucking truth?
So I honestly say I don't encourage my mom to listen to the podcast. Because
there's no way in hell my parents will listen to this.
Yeah. I mean, there's just, there's a lot of things that we talk about. You and I are friends, so we shoot the shit like friends do, and we get off into crazy tangents, and we talk about things that friends talk about. But this is definitely one of the ones that I am going to encourage her to listen to, because I want her, I need her to know, because I can, but like I said, this is going to be one of those things that we keep going, but I think we're going to revisit multiple times, and I want us to. I want her and I to keep talking about each other's mental health, and I want to encourage other people to talk about their mental health with their friends, their family. But I just have, at this point in my life, have just so much love and adoration for my parents. And especially, I mean, I say especially my mom, because both her and I are very emotionally in sync.
Because you're a mama's boy, and that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a mama's boy. But my dad and I have found new ways to reconnect and build up like these fatherly son bonds. We're not friends. We both know that we're not like buddy like how you and I are. We know that there is a father-son relationship there. But now we're able to explore, like, what does this father-son relationship mean now that we're not in the teenage tumultuous years of me just wanting, rebelling, and us just being able to talk, I mean, and just do things together again without me being worried about being in trouble or, things, just the typical things that you go through with parents when you're younger. But yeah, so that was my coronavirus emotional family revival that I had. So, Mark, you and I have talked quite extensively
Yes.
in comparison our family lives.
Yeah.
And I understand, you and I are at very different points in our life. So, you let me go on for like 30 minutes or so about my family stuff. And I just want to like open it up to you, to be able to kind of get into your, can we say family trauma?
I mean, sure.
Because I would say, I think, I don't say that like, oh man, you've had such a traumatizing, like, no different than mine. We all have family traumas.
I'll just get into the shit.
Yeah, just get into it. Just swim around.
So I'm genuinely sad to say that my family is a lot more broken than your family. And I don't want to blame it on any one person, although it would be very easy to, because that tends to be the one person that the whole family kind of points the finger at. Sure. I shouldn't say one person. Our parents are very much the breaking point for our family. Which is very typical for a lot of families. Right. And
you don't have, like, your experience is not unheard of at all.
Right. Which makes it a lot easier to come out and talk about it. So there a few years ago there was some really heavy shit that came out that kind of put all of the siblings off from even like talking to the parents for a long time. Like I'm talking like almost 2 years. And the thing that sucked was it was right before my wedding. To my ex, we're now at this point, we're divorced. And with that in mind, like the fact that, our family's been so, like, we were never like super close. My dad is a very abrasive personality. He's very set on what he believes. And his mentality is very much like it's his way is the only way to do things.
Right.
Which the rest of our family doesn't see it that way. We all are like, in our own way, in our own ways, we're successful like as individuals, but because it's not the way that our father saw that it should happen, it kind of put a wedge between him and us from the beginning. So like I honestly, like, thinking back, I cannot think of the last time that our entire family was actually together. Actually, you know what? I can. It was for my parents' 20th anniversary, so I would have been 17.
Yeah.
So we're talking like 10 years ago, and I'm pretty sure that there was somebody missing from that trip. We went to Disneyland as a family. So like when I was going through all the initial stuff with my divorce, which was just a little over a year ago now, it was very hard to come to anybody about it. Like I didn't talk to you about it. I didn't talk to really anybody about it because it
caught me fucking off guard.
Exactly.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep cutting you off.
No, it's cool. Go for it.
I mean, it was definitely one of those things that my heart broke.
Yeah.
And,
but
it was one of those things that I didn't see coming.
To be fair, I didn't see it coming either. So
that's typical. You either see it coming or you're totally caught off guard.
Yeah, and that the divorce itself aside, like I've moved past it. I'm over it. Like it happens. People grow apart. It's what happens.
Yeah, and I will say, especially because you and I, especially during once you finally opened up to me, and I don't know exactly the time frame of what was it, like a month?
Yeah, it was a little over a month afterwards.
Yeah, and you finally opened up, and I hadn't heard from you really. I'd heard from you a little bit, just like little signals you'd send me, like, I'm still alive, joke here, joke there. But other than that, like, you never once signaled to me that something was up.
Yeah. I was trying to handle it myself.
Yeah, which, as we've stated, I mean, never hurts to.
Yeah.
It's always important. The thing that I've learned in my life, it is so important to at least have one person you can, to reach out, even if you're in the shittiest of shits.
Yeah. And you were there for me when I needed you.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
So
cried with you.
You did. I remember that. The thing that sucked was like with my family, because like I love my family. I love my family. They are always there when I need them to be. But because of the stigma that divorce has, like
Which is funny that we still have that stigma today.
It makes no fucking sense that we have that stigma. But like my entire family, aside from my sister and her wife, are very traditional, like I say conservative, but not like conservative politically, like just conservative emotionally, like they were raised in like Christian households, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So like for me, it was very hard to even call up my siblings and be like, this is what's going on. More so for my parents though. My parents didn't find out that anything was going on until I think it was around Thanksgiving last year. So we're talking almost 2.5 months later.
And I remember you were telling me like, oh shoot, I haven't told my parents. I'm like, oh my Lord.
They wanted to come down from Houston to Austin to have Thanksgiving dinner with me and my ex-wife.
Yes.
Who I'm going to leave nameless because
I don't
want to call her out. Like it is what it is. So they call her up and like, hey, we want to go have dinner with you and blank. And I was like, so here's the thing, guys. Me and blank aren't together anymore. So I had to have that conversation with my parents at Thanksgiving dinner last year.
Oh gosh, I know. And I remember you telling me like, so this is going to happen at Thanksgiving dinner. I'm like, holy Lord.
So what ended up happening, and like my mom and my sister were very much like, my sister who was living with me at the time,
yes,
they were both very like, like it really sucks. We're sorry that you're going through this.
Yeah.
So my mom and my sister were very supportive. My dad has this personality where he has to be right all the time.
I have no idea where you get that from.
Yeah, fuck you. My dad's very unapologetic. So a couple of times in our podcast, you'll hear I've said the phrase, I guess I'm the asshole. Which actually comes from my father. Usually we're saying it, my family and I will say it in jest, just like my dad, like I said, does not ever admit he's wrong. He has to be right all the time. And anytime he is called out for being wrong about something or for being called out for the way he wants to do something and it's not really working out the way he wants it to, he'll usually throw his hands up in like, what's the word I'm looking for? He'll usually throw his hands up in like, frustration, I guess. Just kind of
throws his hands up.
Just throws his hands up,
like,
and then
married with children.
Yeah, style. exactly like that. And he'll kind of like hang his head a little bit. Like if you go and watch the Power Rangers Turbo film, there's those creatures that they fight that have their head sticking straight out of their body. That's what my dad will do when he's frustrated. He'll stick his head straight out from his body. And for some reason, his neck extends by like 6 inches.
No, even better. All right, so Ren and Stimpy always had, whenever they had like one of the adults get angry.
Yes, that is exactly.
Always like it looks like their neck extended by like a yard and there are veins popping out of it.
That's exactly it. That's a great analogy. So he'll do that, throw his hands up in the air, and say, well, I guess I'm the asshole then. Again, never admitting that he's wrong. Because he can't do that. We found out last year that he has BPD, which is borderline personality disorder.
Yes.
Which explains a lot of the things, and he has since said that that's the way that's why he's the way he is. Again, never admitting he's wrong, but just like acknowledging the fact that there is that he has something, you know?
There's some sort of mental trauma where this is spiking from.
Exactly. So he's making progress. It's just, for a lot of us, it's a too little too late kind of situation.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's also a lot of information to kind of digest.
exactly. So keeping that in mind, we're sitting at Thanksgiving dinner. My mom's emotional. She's like, I'm so sorry this happened to you. She gave me a big hug. Both of my parents are previously divorced, so they know what it's like. And then my dad opens his mouth and says, and I'll never forget this. This was for me one of the, was the last straw, was he said, I got to be honest with you, I saw this coming months ago. And I'm just like, Dad, now's not the fucking time.
Yeah, because that's always what you love to hear.
Exactly.
And your heart's broken and you're trying to pick up everything and then someone goes, told you so.
And he has done that for every big breakup I've had, historically. That's just what he does. And I don't know why that's his thing that he does, but he does. So what ended up happening from there was, I finally, during the period between September to November, during that period, I finally opened up to the rest of my family. First thing I did was I called my brother. He and I have always been that weird kind of close. We're not super close, but we're I'd go to him first kind of thing.
Yeah, I got you.
I was just like, look, man, this is what's going on. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do from here. And so between him, my older sister, who I'm currently living with, well, actually by the time this comes out, I'll have moved out, but who I was living with when I first moved up to Salt Lake, they kind of just helped me get from where I was to here, where I needed to be.
Right.
They both chipped in. They got my car fixed because it was having some issues going forward. They, opened their home to me. Everyone was there, despite the fact I hadn't seen any of them in, I'm not exaggerating when I say years. So what ended up happening was I came to Salt Lake, and when the night I got here, I remember it was 10:30, I rolled into town, and my sister and her husband and their kids were all still awake. They'd been waiting up for me because, I don't know if you know this, but driving through fucking mountains in the wintertime is a real pain in the dick.
Yeah, it's even myself as an experienced driver is not something I would like to do.
Yeah. So they all waited up till I got there, and I had the biggest hug, group hug I've ever had, and I melted. It was hard because I hadn't really opened up. I mean, with you and I, yes, obviously I did. But
yeah, but like I said, it's totally different because I opened up, just me telling you with how it was with my parents. There is some sort of family connection that we as human beings crave.
Exactly. So from there, from there, I've been in Salt Lake now for almost a year at this point, and just been around family, and honestly it's been exactly what I needed. I'm refinding myself as a person, figuring out what I want going forward and what I need going forward, and I gotta be honest, it's been great. And me and my parents, we really don't talk all that often. As much as I hate the fact that we don't have a good relationship like we used to, it's not coming from coming from a place of just me not wanting to be a part of it. It's more of just what do we talk about anymore? Because
Right.
The problem is a lot of the issues, like you were saying, you didn't want your parents to think that it was their fault, but a lot of the issues that me and my siblings all have stem directly from where the parents came in.
Yeah.
And that's not to say they did their best. I will give them that. They did the very best they could, but there was just something that wasn't connecting.
Sure.
And it made life a living hell for for 5 kids.
Yeah.
And so like we all like, as much as we all want to be a part of their lives and be with them, it's fucking hard for us to do.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, every family's timeline is different.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's emotional journey is a different. So, I mean, you know, I will say it's always been something that is on my mind for you a lot. And I constantly, I don't pray a ton, but when I do, I rarely pray about myself or for myself, always for other people. And, you know, it is one of those things that, you know, you're on my mind constantly, and like a handful of other people are just constantly.
Brandon, if
anytime
you
I
love
find-
me so much, why don't you just fucking marry me already?
Well, I mean, you're thankfully single. All I gotta do is something on my end. So
I mean, you guys just move up to fucking Salt Lake, man. Polygamy is kind of legal.
kind of legal.
Like it's mostly frowned upon now, I think.
But yeah, it's definitely one of those things that I constantly hope for, like you, that at some point, I mean, and everybody's kind of. It's also like one of the other things that I have a problem with. People are always saying like, "Oh, I deserve closure," or "I'm looking for closure." Everyone's closure looks different.
Yeah.
So I first and foremost always pray that, you know, your family and you will be able to work something out. Maybe, you know, the stars will align, and maybe it just takes time. You know, a lot of emotional scarring just takes time.
Yeah. And
But
that's
then the other thing is like hope. Like the other thing I pray for is like, if not that, just some sort of peace. You know, where y'all can like at least, you know, be on good terms, decent, you know, even decent terms. Because I know, I mean, for you, it's at least from what you've told me, is you've gone back and you've tried.
yeah, it doesn't always work out, but you know, at least we are trying.
And that's all you can do.
Yeah.
One of the things certainly with this is definitely I want to normalize the idea of talking about mental illness.
Oh, absolutely.
So you know, especially with us being so open about like, yeah, we cried together. Like, you know, I think it's important that people hear that stuff.
Yeah, they know that it's okay. Brandon, we've had 12 years of friendship at this point.
And it's been, it has not been a conventional friendship. I mean, there was a good amount of time where we did not talk.
Yeah, mostly
Not because anything happened.
Yeah, just I was cross country. I went into the Coast Guard. You were doing fucking whatever.
Yeah, that's, you know, typically how my life works. Just
Yeah. But yeah. So honestly, like you are as much family for me as anybody that I'm blood related to, because like I said, you've been there. Like you've been there with me for almost 13 years now.
Yeah, gosh. The time just keeps going.
It just, the years start coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming.
God damn it.
Goddamn. But I do want to say that like I'm thankful for a lot of things in life, but I am very thankful to have been able to have you around me as much as I did. You definitely were there with me through a lot of hard times, and you definitely pulled me through.
We were definitely in a lot of the hard times together.
We were. That's a conversation for a whole other time.
Yeah, we'll get into that aspect of our emotional trauma at some point.
Holy fuck.
As beer bottles roll across the floor.
Yeah, holy fuck.
That was perfect timing.
Thank you.
But no, I mean, I think of you, you know, the age difference between my little brother and I is very, there's a 14-year difference between the two of us.
Jesus.
So, I mean, we're still trying to figure out, like, how do we brother? It's like kind of like how, and we have little things that we connect with. He's going through his super like bruh phase, and he's just kind of like ribbing me any chance he can get, and I just kind of roll with it. I'm like, whatever, man.
My middle nephew is in his bruh phase right now.
Oh,
he plays Fortnite because it's summer pretty much all day.
My little brother plays Fortnite and is plays sports. So I mean, he's like double bruh.
So my my middle nephew, he's 10 years old now. So he is he's not very self-aware when he's talking on the phone, like on his headphones.
Sure.
So he will be playing Fortnite for like, I'm not kidding when I say like 10 hours a day. And I just hear constantly, bruh, dude, bruh. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm trying to work in here.
My little brother would just start screaming at his friends, "You're trash!" Just constantly. I'm like, oh my God, what is happening?
Yep, that's exactly what I'm used to hearing too. So I've had to go out and bop him on the head a little bit.
Nice. But so anyways, other than that little tangent. So for me, like our friendship has always been kind of like that. Oh, this is what it would have been like to have a brother if we were like similar in age, because we take the piss out of each other constantly, constantly ribbing one another. Like with you, it feels very much like, you know, like we would have been like we could have been brothers, easily, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I have very, it's just you and one other person that I can say that truthfully about.
Is it Chad?
No, because Chad and I are family.
Chad Michaels? I'm now, it's Aaron, right?
Yeah, it's Aaron.
Yeah.
We have been called, like, people have asked us, like, oh man, y'all look related. Like, no, we're not.
No,
but I totally see.
Next time somebody says that, just be like, fuck you too. just to see how Aaron reacts to that.
He always likes it. I like it too. I like when people mistake us for being related. Yeah. But you know, I'm so happy to get to do life with you, even if it's, you know, thousands of miles away over a mic, you know, through a computer screen over a mic. Like, I mean, you know, it's one of those things. I wish we could have done this together, but I honestly think us being apart is really what made this happen.
Oh, for sure.
Like just the kind of longingness for that kind of like brotherly friendship. Just really in you.
Just really wanting to just grasp hold of you.
Like it's one of those things. Like I legit feel like we are closer now than, because I mean, when you lived here, we were constantly working different schedules, and lived on complete opposite sides of town.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you know, I'm bummed out we didn't get to do this stuff in person, but at the same time, like, I'm just so glad that we get to do it now.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you're family, man, as far as I'm concerned.
You're my family, man.
You know, I love you.
I love you too, buddy. And I'll be thinking about you tonight while I lay in bed and I'm pleasuring myself.
As you're looking up at that giant poster on the ceiling that I gave you of myself?
The one where you're in your Elvis jacket?
It's a jumpsuit, but yes.
Fuck yeah. Anyway, sorry, I forgot that there are people listening right now.
There are people listening?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I have to take back so much stuff I said.
Yeah, you fuck. I don't want to think about you while I'm naked, spread eagle on my bed.
While I'm dressed as Elvis.
Yeah. So, yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for coming on or coming in and listening to our fucking family issues. If there's ever anything you guys want us to talk about, reach out to us. We're on Twitter.
But one of the things, sorry to cut you off, but
cut me off.
Gotcha, cut me off. Do it. One of the things also on top of talking about, like, if y'all have stories or anything that you want us to share.
Or if you guys want to come on and share it with us.
Yeah, we'll totally give you.
We'll give you your
a
5 minutes of
segment.
fame,
Yeah.
however long it's take tell your story.
I mean, if you want to waste your 5 minutes of fame on this shitty podcast, by all means.
Yeah, I think we shit all over the people that wanted to start podcasts in our first fucking episode.
Because everybody has a podcast.
Everybody has a podcast, and you know what? We're the same shitty kind of people. We happen to have microphones in our houses for various reasons.
We were like, what kind of bullshit excuse can we come up with to hang out with one another and my wife not get upset with me?
Yeah, and so here we are. As we're saying, if you ever want to just pop onto the cast for a little bit, be like, hey, I have a funny story. You don't even have to fucking run the story by us. Just let us know. We'll give you 5 minutes.
I'd ask you to run it by us a little bit.
Okay, Brandon's obviously the one that takes the business aspect a little bit more seriously, and that's fine. That's fine. So you run it by Brandon. If Brandon approves, we'll let you on the show.
Hey, I just want to make sure we don't get in trouble too.
That's fair. That's fair.
So we need somebody like a friend of ours coming out and being like, so I actually murdered a few people. Like,
okay.
God,
wait, hold on. On that note, I'm an ordained minister, and as long as you ask me to make this a confessional, you cannot be held liable. I think.
I don't think that's accurate.
Oh, I've got some stuff I need to report to somebody then. Anyway, back to my point, guys. You can always reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are the SR Sleepy Boys on all of that. So shoot us a message, add us.
Send us an email.
Oh, yeah. So we have an email. That's right.
Yeah,
it's Sunrise with the Sleepy Boys.
You can submit all the topics. Yeah, at Gmail. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Fucking send us a fucking like
send us
paragraph of ideas.
Like if there's an article that comes out that you want us to talk about, send us the article.
We
if
would
there's a
love
movie
to do
that
it.
you're hyped about, let us know. We will talk about it.
Yeah, we would fucking love to talk about it. That brings us to the end, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I have been Mark.
And I have been Brandon. Nice.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, even better.
I'm sorry, those Hot Pockets are coming back up.
Oh, and I can smell the cheese through the mic.
Yeah, will you give me the fucking trash can? I need a trash can.
Yeah, here you go.
Oh.